Hi. So since my project is a very unique project, I've decided to present what stage it's in right now, which is the final stage for the part 3 of module 1. And instead of writing everything out and posting the pictures, I've decided to do a video instead, since there are a lot of text documents in here. And so what I'll be doing is going through explaining like where I started and then where I've ended um, currently at this moment, discussing some of the things I wasn't able to finish and how it will go into the next module. And of course, I'll be discussing some of this stuff in the reflection page as well. And I do want to make it clear this isn't my presentation material, that will be the flow chart. I am simply doing this because I feel like it'll be easier for both me and you if I did a video explaining everything. So, first off, the way I started this project was by making really quick sketches of what I thought I wanted my characters to be. I'm the type of person that likes to create a character and then create a story around it. So the first couple of things I did were I drew like just some very basic like girl designs because I knew for sure I did want a story that was about like two best friends and then something happening to one of them. So I did Lily, whose design, her adult design changed a lot after doing some research, while her kid design kind of stayed the same. And this is the opposite for Cece because her adult design is more of a simple one that didn't really need to change that much, while her kid design changed a lot, especially after feedback I got from some of my friends. As we can also see in here, I have a couple of flowers already. I thought I would might do something with tulips, which I did end up doing for the park itself, but not for the characters, which I'll explain later. And daisies, lilies, just a couple of flowers I had like in mind. And here's my flower research, which is pretty much um sorry, let me move something out of the way, which is pretty much like the beginning part of some of the symbolism I was going to use. Additionally, there are prototypes for the missing children. So here are the girl designs and the boy designs, which I did add more of like a bust for the finalized designs. And additionally, there is some monster designs in here. And these were just some random ideas I thought about before starting the actual research. So after I created the prototypes for this assignment, I decided to start doing the characters. And so in here, of course, is the prototype, and then Miss Lily, but I'll talk about her last or third, sorry, because that's the way it came in the order. So first, of course, I focused on my main character, which is Lily. So as we can see, compared to here, which had a more in my opinion, this style is more of like the later 2010s, while I needed more of an earlier one. So I went for the the after doing some research, which um I'll show in a second. I went for a more Converse with the the very wide brimmed pants with the tank top over a tank top and the jacket kind of look with a more straight hair for her adult look. And then, of course, the same kind of idea I had in the prototype for the kid version. And then I included like the friendship bracelet that her and Cece have, which is those like needed kind of friendship bracelets inside her bag. So water, gum, notebook, and then her bag when in 2005 is like again notebook, battery, and batteries for her camera. Um, so that's Cece. Um, oh, and then clothing for Lily. And so in here, I'll come back there at the end to kind of just show some of the influences. So Cece, of course, her finalized design. So her real name's Carnation. Here's her adult version with a carnation staff, and then her kid version based off feedback from my friend, because I was thinking this myself, but I wanted to get her input as well, since she loves 90s media and she herself is African American. She recommended I do space buns instead, and typically they would be high, but she said maybe a low space bun for her design would be better, and I agreed. And then I based her outfit off one of the research pictures that I did, and I felt it suited her a lot more, and also for where this takes place, and the denim jacket that was very popular. Here is her friendship bracelet, and I think I need to. I'll probably include this in module 2 after I go back and refine more things. But Lily made her bracelet, and Cece made Lily's bracelet, and then also just showing her hair tie, the classic like ball hair ties that were such a thing back then. Characters. So if we go to the next, after doing them two, I did do Miss Lily. I did this design, and then I came back and did the part costume design when I started doing the other part costumes. And so Miss Lily is supposed to mimic kind of that like mom style. That's coming back into trend, but especially for back then in the 90s. And I meant to go in and like color everyone, but then I decided to focus on doing that for module 2, since that's when I'm focusing on visuals for the website and so on. So of course she has more of like a soft like hair. And then she has a necklace of a lily where she gets like her powers from. And then like the mom jeans with the boots and then the sweater and her wrinkles. After that, I moved on to the girls, which of course here are the prototypes of the girls once again. And then the girls themselves. So we have Himawari, which means sunflower in Japanese. She's 10 and she has like a very bubbly, loyal personality. Rose, who's 11, Margarita, which I don't think I'm gonna have her name be Rita. It might. That is something I meant to ask one of my friends about if that would be appropriate, but I wasn't able to get in contact with her, so I'll do that for the next module. But her name actually means Daisy in English. We have Aster and then Dahlia. And as you can tell, there's a lot of similarities between both. For example, like Himawari looks pretty similar in Rose, but just a little bit more like refined. And then Aster and the other two have changed quite a bit. Like Dahlia kind of became that character. Um, and going about the ages, I haven't really done anything. I just wanted like a wide variety of ages going into this. Next I did the boys. The boys were probably, in my opinion, harder to design and come up with names for, because there's all these like girl names that are flowers, but when you go to the boy side, it's either you're gonna have to do like herb names or like fern or like all these other names, and I mainly wanted like flowers, so I had to get a little bit more like liberty when doing this. So here are the prototypes. So as you can see, like Lawrence and Nastor are still kind of the same, and then the twins, which have changed a little bit. I'll do this one. It's pretty much this page, but with their actual names. I don't know why it was so yellow when I took the picture. Um, but as you can see, we have like Nastor and Lawrence, which were those two boys on there. Clem and Addis, which Clematis for their flower name. Jackin. So you can see like Snapdragon, Jackin, and then like Hawthorne, Lawrence, Laurel. So I had to be a bit more creative with the boy names and keeping it like how they're connected with their symbolism for their names. I also have Lily's room, which I haven't I've made a couple of sketches for, but I haven't put it on here, which I meant to do, but but that was more for module 2, but I already have some of the pictures. So it's pretty much like classic like girls' room with a whole bunch of posters and stuff and like her music taste. And then going into clothing. So we have 90s clothing. And so as you can see, it's a whole bunch of clothing that I reference. So like for example, Miss Lily, heavily inspired by that one on the side. As you can see Cece's outfit here with the pants and the shirt. Rose's shirt is actually based off Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. And as you see, like the bracelet. So it's a whole bunch of you can definitely see the influence in here, like Himawari's dress there. And it's similar for the 2000 outfits. I'm mostly based it off Avril Lavigne's like outfit here for Lily, and then like added a jacket on top. Kitty, the band Kitty is more like late 90s, early 2000s. So I wanted to maybe take some influence with like the tank top look, and then of course the pants, and then also a reference image for her camera. So that is the characters. And so after I created the characters, I kind of moved around a bit. So I did the story part of the story next, but I'll talk about the story last since I think that would be better. So I guess what I can talk about next is the flowers, which I was doing as I went along creating the characters. So in this file is obviously the pictures of the flowers. And then here is so I have a general page for the flowers, and then it's pretty much all the characters' names. And then there's symbolism. So we have Lily, which means death and rebirth. So for Miss Lily, it's the death part, and for Lily, it's the rebirth. That's why I have them have the same name. So it's kind of that contrasting symbolism going on. And then for the park costumes, I even put some references there. Oh, my apologies. I had one for Buttercup, but I think it accidentally got deleted. So there. Um, sorry, I have to move the thing at the top of the screen. Okay, let me put it over here. So then that's pretty much this page, and you'll see it later in the monsters design, which I'll talk about next. I only have two right now. I meant to do more, but I'll talk about that in my reflection, how I got sidetracked with other classes, and then also just mental health and other things like that. So ref for Dahlia, which is pretty much because Dahlia's monster is kind of like a siren type, but like very loosely based on sirens. So as you can see, it's like a flower, then the flower opens up and she's dancing on it like a ballerina. And because of this, she kind of lures people to their death because they don't realize she's like far out from a cliff. So they fall down. And then Daisies, who for Daisy, I wanted to do a more like generic monster. And you can see like the prototype that they're not very different. And then have it like be the main Daisy here with her head, and then like kind of like a squishy kind of character that looks kind of cute and innocent. And then once you get up close, it snatches you in their mouth. So monsters I will definitely be working on in this next module, because they are going to be a big visual, but I'm not too worried since for the most part I wanted them to be sketches that Lily has done, while some of them will be like photographs. Next, I would like to talk about the amusement park. So here are some reference images. So I had to figure out where I wanted the park to be, and I was like maybe Washington at one point. I wanted somewhere that was rainy, so there would be like the environmental thing of like, oh, it's raining, so we can't really find the kids that easily. Um, and so I decided to do it like in Missouri. It's a weird place to have it, but it can get pretty rainy. Like for example, and this is kind of from like a memory I have when I went to Silver Dollar City with my cousins and my grandparents. We were there and it actually started raining. So it kind of reminded me of that. So I kind of decided to put it in Missouri because of that. And then I also have like overhead shots here, just pretty much some references to help me with the park and like designing it in the future, because I did want to do the park layout and like some of the roller coasters and stuff, but again, just time and then me personally. Here in this page, it's pretty much about the park. So woody area of Mississippi. Sorry, that's supposed to say Missouri. I think it auto corrected. Missouri, where it rains a lot, the environment, so like a forest area, the theme of the park, flowers, and then some of the park characters I have right now. So the four characters are Miss Buttercup, Miss Tulip, Miss Heart, but her full name's Bleeding Heart, and then Miss Lily, and it says kind of what they do in the park. Um, so here some maps I already have laid out. So Dollywood and Silver Dollar City for when I make the maps for the park. Costumes. The costumes were honestly probably my favorite part to make. Uh, so I looked up like the flowers, and they're in the flower folder. And these ones, I didn't really go off their symbolism. I went off more what I think the flower itself would kind of act. So, for example, Miss Tulip, I made her kind of the like free spirit dancing one who's like very chippy and hyper all the time. There's Miss Heart, who is more calm and collected and likes to talk about love stories, and Miss Buttercup, who is elegant and likes to have tea parties and discuss tea and cucumber sandwiches and stuff like that. And then of course Miss Lily, who is the most closed off, refined, like elegant one out of everyone, who of course is the so here's like her front view, who of course is the main villain who likes to lure the kids in, but because of how like elegant in the way she presents herself, a lot of the kids really like her, and the ones that don't are lured in by like other characters, so Miss Tulip and Miss Buttercup. So those were the costumes. We got uniforms, which are also a lot of fun to make. Here's the reference picture. So I did like barbershop quartet kind of looks for them. Um, so we have the male version, which is pretty much almost an exact replica, but it has like flowers on the shirt underneath, and it's the same thing for the girls, except they have like striped tights going on. And then possible locations. Oh, and then uniforms, costumes. So that's the park for now. And so I will definitely be needing to do more for the park in the second half, because I know I'm kind of behind on the park, but I'm okay with working on it in module 2 so that it has more of my focus, since it is a key element to the park. Before I'll do the website next. So I'll be putting my flowchart here, and then the website layout. And so on this page is pretty much a written version of what my flowchart will be. And on the flowchart, I might include more, but it's pretty much like what I'm doing on each page and what each page will be about. And then the story. So this is the main reason why I decided to do a video instead of typing everything out, because I know it can be a bit confusing trying to go through this Google Drive and then being like, well, where do I go and what do I read? So as you can see, I have the amusement park page in here as well. And so here is I'll do the backstories first, but on this page is pretty much not like full backstories. It's like for the side characters, but for Lily, Cece, and Miss Lily, it talks about kind of who they are as a person, what do their names represent, and then they're like, for example, Lily, it talks about her motivation for finding her friend, kind of what she's been doing since the disappearance of her friend, how she's become like a photographer and went to college, but she still feels guilty for what happened, and so she wants to go and like help find Cece. Same with Cece, it talks about what happened to her, how she's a very caring and loving and motherly type to everyone, and how and also talks about how like at the end she recognizes Lily and then helps her defeat Miss Lily, and how they say goodbye to each other, and Cece leaves her friendship bracelet behind for Lily. And then Miss Lily, the main villain, talks about her motivation, you know, for being like wronged by the world and wanted to decide to like keep children's innocence so they didn't have to grow up and like lose that innocence, and then wanted to take over the world with their help so there wouldn't be any more bad in the world, was pretty much her kind of motivation. And then it discusses like how after 100 sacrifices the like eldritch god like can come out and stuff, but they didn't succeed in their plan. And then the minor characters is just about the kidnapped kids. It talks about the symbolism behind their name, talks about who they visited the park with on the day they disappeared. Kind of some of them have like other things as well. For example, like Himawari talks about like her older brother and like his impact of her death after. Um, and then it also talks about what lured them away, which is very simple things, and then what their flowers, how their monsters, excuse me, how their monsters correlate with their flower and their symbolism. And some of them also have like if they were unbrainwashed first, if they were unbrainwashed last, which is very dependent on what type of personality they had. And then lastly is the summary. So pretty much this page is the summary of the story. I might come back in module 2 and refine it a little bit more if I think of more stuff to do. And then here, it's not like a clear cut beginning, middle, end. It's more of kind of how the story is supposed to progress. So the beginning part is Lily, the reader coming to Lily's page and reading her blog post, and at certain parts in her blog post she posts read this page because it's finished, because the whole page is supposed to be played out like it's already happened, it's in the past, and so you as a reader are reading this old website trying to figure out what happened. So beginning is reading her blog post, and then when she says read this page, going and reading that page. Of course some people would go ahead and go read all the pages, which is fine too. the middle is the middle is pretty much you've read all the pages. You might have already figured out that like the monsters represent the children, or that Miss Lily is the villain, which will be like hints throughout certain parts of the story. Like people for the kids will like be interviewed, and then some of them will be like, oh, the last person I saw them with was Miss Lily, or so on and so forth. And so pretty much what you're supposed to do at this part is look at the last page and realize there's a hint, because this page is a password locked page. And on this password locked page, there is a hint for the password, which I think it might be Carnation, so I might not put in the story that Cece's name is Carnation. And so people will have to figure out that that's her flower's name through like context clues and stuff like that. But that's for later. I don't. It might change into something else, especially after feedback. People were like, I think you should do something else. I was like, yeah, probably. And then the end, of course, is opening that page with the password. And on this page, it's pretty much the end of the story, like how Lily went to the park, finally went inside the park and discovered what was going on exactly, unbrainwashed the kids, and then stopped like Miss Lily's plan and stuff like that. And so I've definitely gotten some, in terms of like feedback for everything, there's definitely been a lot of feedback that has helped. For example, the website, like at first I wasn't going to do a Word doc and lay everything out and then do the flow chart. I originally was just going to do a sketch of like what I wanted the website to maybe be. But having recommended do this really helped a lot, and is definitely going to help me when I make the flow chart. For the characters, I've talked about this before in the previous part 1 and part 2 of this module. But of course, like Lily got a lot of feedback for like her top design. Like people definitely recommended me to do this compared to this one. And sorry. And then, for example, like the kids, especially the boys, I got a lot of feedback for like what names people thought were pretty good, or like someone recommended the clematis thing where I separated the name for Clem and Addis, and just being like, and me being like, oh, do you think people would actually have these names? And people were like, yeah, if their parents were like wanted their kids to be unique. I was like, yeah, probably. So that helped me validate making some of these names like Draken or Snapdragon. Um, a similar thing for the amusement park, I definitely do need to get more feedback, which is definitely going to be in module 2, to see if the idea of having it in Missouri and like a place where it could rain is a good idea, which I feel like people will like. But at the same time, I might get questioned, well, it's an amusement park, so if it rains all the time, how is it going to like operate and stuff like that? And then like what rides am I going to do since it's like a flower themed park? So I know those are questions I need to ask and come up with for answers. Other feedback, I got feedback for the monsters compared to like the first designs, which I do need to put in here. Um, but like for example, people have said, oh, maybe adjust like her outfit and make it look a little bit more like a tutu here, which I will definitely adjust and see if I like that. And then for example, Daisy, people really preferred this design compared to her original, which was this. They didn't really like these parts, which are to mimic kind of like flower stems, and like the addition of the little daisy tendrils on her back. And then that so far. Oh, and then the story. Sorry. I've gotten some feedback for the backstories of the characters. Like I should add a bit more specific stuff for the children. Um, like maybe more about their home life or more about the people around them, or if I am doing interviews, include like how the interviews went with the parents or family or friends or stuff like that. In addition to the story summary, I gotten feedback too. They really like the summary, but to like adjust the beginning, middle, end, maybe include a little bit more information about each part or put more specific elements into each, which I do very much agree with. And so that is my project. I'm sorry, I apologize for how long this video probably is. Of course, I just wanted to make it a bit easier to like understand kind of how I went about my process. So the way I went into each thing besides the story at the end was how I did do my process. And of course, there's some things that I wish I had done more of, for like example, the monster designs, which I will be focusing on at the beginning of module 2. Additionally, the amusement park, and then creating the visuals for everything. But I'm glad of what I accomplished and what I've done. I know it's a lot and I probably burnt myself out, but I hope you do enjoy going through and like looking at everything. And then once everything is done for module 2, module 3, you will enjoy the project. Thank you very much.